We always take the last 30 seconds. Everybody gets really quiet before it starts. So I would like to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight and to all our guests and speakers. The first order of business tonight is the ordering and approval of the agenda as presented. May I have a second, please? May I have a motion, please? Thank you, and may I have a second? Thank you so much. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Our first up tonight is our staff recognition with the Atchison Middle School counselor, Rhonda McDaniel.
So I am very excited tonight to highlight and applaud and celebrate one of our staff members. Rhonda, if you'll come join us up here, and Mr. Crittenden will join you here in just a second. The reason, there's 5 million reasons Rhonda was chosen as our staff spotlight this month, but one of the things that if you spend any time with her, you cannot help but catch a smile. She loves what she does. She loves the community she serves, and she is making such a positive impact. You'll hear a little more about what she does during their building report, but we want to take a minute to highlight you and say thank you. All right, Miss Rhonda, you get to come back here, and you get to sit in this chair. That means you have to be responsible the rest of the night. Do you all see that? Yes. Rhonda gets right here.
Get around you. All right.
In here? Yep. Okay. It's called the hot seat. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
Here, you come up a little bit. Yeah. Everyone's here. Come on in, Sean. Does that look all right?
See that?
Can you put Laura's?
Okay.
I do. Nice.
Good.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Rhonda, you're amazing. Thanks for playing to our kids. Now, how can you not be happy when you start a meeting like that?
Exactly. Well, tonight we have several reports, and the first is our district bond project update. And Brian from McCown Gordon and Laura and Jay and Dave and whoever else, come on up.
So we are at the very, very, very tail end of all bond work. We had as a patron request last month to answer some specific questions. And so the team has been working to make sure we kind of gathered that. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Brian and Jay, who are going to kind of walk us through where we are with the bond.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It's kind of a last update I have for you all, which is great news, right? So just to recap the projects, what we've done today. Essentially, it's 4 projects. You had an HVAC upgrade on all your schools. So your elementary, high school had rooftop unit replacements. Middle school had air handling unit refurbished, plus some pumps and some chillers and stuff like that. Work that happened over the summer. The high school had a new security entrance added, renovation to your band and orchestra room, and a much needed locker room renovation. That place looks amazing now. It's pretty bad shape. So, in your elementary school, you had a new secure entry, administration moved up front, nursing pod put in renovation, and then your pre-K 4 classroom and pod renovation as well. So elementary, high school, and turf and track are complete. Turf and track, baseball, football, track, turf and track. So all 3 of those projects are complete, 100%, punch list done, owner training done. The one thing I do owe Dave and Jay, the team, is some operations and maintenance manuals, which you should get hopefully this week. Just basically has warranty information, shows them how to use the equipment, that kind of stuff. And then the HVAC portion of the job is probably 95% complete. We are, right now, our mechanical company, Lippert, is in there just finishing up test and balancing, making sure all the equipment's running properly. They'll probably be done with that in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Then our commissioning team will come in and just really fine tune all the equipment, make sure it's really operational, the most effective as it can be. So by the end of December, that'll be 100% complete. Over Thanksgiving, there are 2 or 3 fan coil units at the middle school that are being swapped out. They got ordered late, so they'll be getting those in. And then there's 2 rooftop units that were damaged during transit over the summer. They were still in good working condition. They went in and put them up on the roof just to get them going, and they ordered 2 new ones, and those will be swapped out at the end of December. I think they're supposed to show up on December 24th, so that'll either be done over the holiday break or over just a weekend. It should be pretty easy. No disruption to you all, so it should be pretty simple. With that said, we're in the warranty phase right now. We meet with Dave and Jay and some of the principals every couple of months and just walk through, make sure everything's functioning correctly. Obviously, if something's not working right, they're calling us directly. We're taking care of it right away. The next time we'll meet again will be in July to do our 11-month warranty walk, just to make sure everything's kind of dialed in. Usually by that time, we fix everything that's done and functioning properly. So there are some equipment, some stuff that has a longer warranty, like some of your rooftop units could be 7-8-year warranties. If there's an issue with those, obviously they can reach out to us, they can reach out to the manufacturer, Lippert directly. You guys have a great relationship with them. But any help we can do, we're there to navigate it with them as well. So I do want to thank you for the opportunity to be part of this project. It was amazing, really cool projects. All the staff, everybody was great to work with. I hope we were too disruptive during the process, but it's been a lot of fun, and just hope to continue to work on this relationship. So, thank you.
I want to kind of go through it so everyone knows. So at the high school, and Mr. Roth kind of shared what we did. That's 100% complete and came in on time, under budget in that. The elementary school's 100% complete, came in a little under budget, but on time. And there was an unexpected, they got covered with the bond of the fire panel in that. Then at the track and turf, once again, 100% on time, under budget. And with that, the part that came in that was somewhat unexpected was the lighting at the football stadium. And then, as Mr. Ross said, on HVAC, that's the last little bit. So we don't have a pure understanding of all the savings. We also have a pump room that Jay can kind of talk about, because I don't really know what that means, but I sound smart when I say it. And then from there, but once again, they have been with us every step of the way, every challenge, every frozen tundra in one side of the building and the Sahara on the other side of the building. They've been with us, every step of the way with that. So, Jay, if you want to talk a little bit about.
Continuing on about the pumps, there was a pump room that is on the tail end of getting kind of rebuilds and new controllers put on it. It was kind of a last minute find that they didn't figure into our project correctly. So we're getting it ready at the time. Also, during this whole thing, we had first phase, all 3 different buildings got a touch of roof rehab on them too. So we're looking at possibly with any of these savings, possibly jumping in and getting ahead on phase 2, which is our 5 to 10 year plan.
So the phase 2 bond projects, that are current under discussion. The HVAC updates, and that is a priority. The roofing updates, that is a priority. The pump room at the middle school is a priority. Then we have some considerations based on what's left after those are taken care of the culinary classroom at the high school, the weight room at the high school, and then the Amelia Earhart Fieldhouse at the football stadium. So those, as far as phase 2, the ones with stars on them, are ones that are our most priorities, and the other ones, the other 3 are more considerations and things to continue discussing. Any questions? We're going to get here in a little bit, we'll get more into the money part of it that was also requested, and that'll be in our finance update for the month. But as far as what's been complete and what's still in progress and what's on phase 2 priorities, any thoughts, questions?
Just appreciation. I can't believe a whole year has gone by since.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right.
Lots of good work, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank
You have a question, Debbie?
Since I'm in the under budget part.
And on time,
you.
and
Yeah,
I
on
think,
time, even more.
I think that, when you work in public schools and work with bonds, to be able to say those two words together,
That's great.
that's
Very
big.
big,
And
yeah.
so I love that partnership that we had with McCall Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next
Our
up.
next report is the Atchison Middle School Building Report, and I'd like to invite Chad Billerback to the microphone and his team. Come on up.
Hello, everybody.
He's excited.
Better turn this on. Chad Bilderback, principal at the middle school. So we have a brief little report about what's going on at Ashton Middle School. I brought some friends along with me, Mrs. McDaniel and then Mrs. Adams, the assistant principal. So we're going to turn it over to actually Mrs. McDaniel for all the great things that was talked about earlier and one of the things that she's doing to help our kids grow and succeed on into high school. So talk about that.
Just so you're aware.
So while she does that, when we look at our strategic plan, the work that they're going to share falls under two major categories tonight. When they're talking about their data and the improvements that they've seen and the exciting things that they are seeing, that falls under that focus area 1, educational opportunities. The work that Ms. McDaniel is going to share with you about some of her students and her activities falls under our third focus area of community partnerships and CTE. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 for tonight that we're celebrating at the middle school.
It's actually, what she's going to talk about fits right in with our IPS, individual plan to stand, which is a state board outcome. It's a focus for and it starts at the middle school level. Really, we won't really have to do anything until 8th grade, but we start doing things at 6th grade. So I'm going to let Mr.
Okay, so there's a lot on that slide, and I apologize, but there's a lot that is happening. So in front of you, you'll see that each month, we focus on a career pathway of the month. We've had, as you can see on there, anyway. A few years ago, Mr. Bilderback and I went to a conference from KSDE, and we kind of decided we need a more robust IPS program for our middle school kiddos. And so last year, we brought back Job Shadow. We decided to do it in 7th grade. And then after Job Shadow was over and all that excitement was over, I thought, we need something else. We can't just drop it at Job Shadow. You know, so I kind of planned it with their support. We brought in career field trips. Excuse me for saying almost time, but we brought in career field trips, and that is where I focus on the monthly what we're going to do. So September we went to Rosecrans Air Force Base. Do you want to share these pictures? Here's more of the. So far, we've done public service, and that is, we went to the St. Clair Police Academy at Missouri Western. And the one activity that I thought was really, really cool, I was able to take them to Rosecrans Air Force Base. We were the only middle school group there. Their focus wanted to be kids that were 18 and ready to be recruited, but they allowed us to go. And it was, you'll see on the slide some of the things that they were excited about, some of the things that they learned that day. This last month has been health. We took a trip to Amberwell. We also I took them to University of St. Mary's, and some of those you'll see in there. They got to do the whole clinic thing, got rat babies, just got to tour the campus as well. Because I feel like with the losing trio, we've got to still expose those kids to higher education. You know, we also went to, this month, we also went to Highland Community Technical College, and they were able to do all the things. 7th and 8th grade went to Highland Technical College. What am I missing? I think it's important to know that students, sorry, I'm looking at this. Every field trip that we go, when we get back from a field trip, After all, we have to evaluate how things go when we go to a professional development. So as a result, I have them fill out an evaluation on how the field trip went. And these up here are just some of the things that excited them, seeing the giraffe, the planes, and being able to sit in the cockpit of a plane, the dorms and eating in the cafeteria and the campus tour, and, you can read all those other ones. They're learning a lot. And I think it's important to notice that 55 kids have participated in 8th grade so far. Of that 55%, or of that 55, 60% said, maybe this is a career I'd like to look at. Prior to that, they didn't know, And so I think it's important also to notice that 30.9 or 31% have said, yeah, this is something that I want to do after high school. And then that 9% or that close to 10%, So every month I'll wrap this up. Every month I create a document that goes up on each grade level floor, 7th and 8th, and then they have to scan the QR code to sign up for their lunch and learn or their field trip. So, yes, lunch and learns. We've had as you'll notice on one of those sheets, we had an Army professor or Army major come in, and they 7th grade were more excited about doing the military stuff, but, like doing the crawls and all those things. But I think they all learn, something. In this month, with October, I kind of decided, it's okay, lunch and learn. Maybe we need to leave campus. So that's why we took 7th and 8th grade to the Highland Community College, because we're here, and to have that experience. I mean, sure, she could have brought the stuff to us, but I'm not go there, and experience that, even in 7th grade. They get a badge that says 7th grade or 8th grade lunch and learn, just like we get a badge when we go to a professional development. They think that's so exciting, on the back of it, it tells them they're gonna get their lunch, and I could talk forever about this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah.
All right, next we're going to turn it over to Mrs. Adams, talk a little bit about some behavior things that we've got going on, some incentives and stuff like that.
So for the last 2 years, we've really been working on looking at the positives to grow those behaviors that we want to see and reduce the negative behaviors without pointing them out. And so we developed the SOAR rubric and the SOAR slips that go along with that. The SOAR rubric identifies the desired behaviors we like to see from the students in the classroom, on campus, and then as well as in our community. We get phone calls all the time. Your middle schoolers are doing this. So trying to front load that and say, these are the behaviors you need to be displaying at McDonald's. And so to help our community with that, the students can get SOAR slips for displaying these behaviors. And then on Fridays, all the SOAR slips that we got for the week go in a drawing. A student from each grade level gets drawn out, and they get to spin the wheel. That was put on TikTok. I found that out when I saw myself on TikTok. So now the kids come into my office and like, this is where it happened. So it's a magic place now. So it's fun. But the kids they get a prize, and the number of kids that we have come up and say, I got a SOAR slip. Even a year and a half in, they're so excited to get that SOAR slip and show us the good things that the teachers are writing about them. We keep a copy. They get a copy to go home to their parents, and I've had parents call me. I was so excited. I was informed that there was a Facebook post where their student got a SOAR slip, and they were so excited about that. So really building that positive culture there with that. So our goal really is to reduce the amount of time kids are out of the classroom. And we're seeing that in our attendance data. And as you can see, we've reduced our chronic absenteeism by 10% from the first 3 months of last year for the first 3 months of this year. And Ms. Rawls is an integral part of that. And so, but through working with her and her having conversations with the kids, and then also us having those positives and really looking for the positives. And then our discipline data has also been cut in half from where it was last year. We had 205 discipline referrals last year that were sent to the office from August to October. And this year we've only had 93. So really building that, those positive behaviors that we're wanting to see. Additionally, we have really struggled. Our top 3 areas have been defiance, disruption, and disrespect. And this year we have seen disruption and disrespect fall to the 5th and 6th of ours. So we really put the effort into those areas, and we are seeing a reduction. So we're seeing some great results there. And so I'll let Mr. Bilderback talk about the academic piece and what we're seeing with that.
So our goal with all of those things is to focus on the positive, get kids to look into the future. And so there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes. We're continuing our work with visible learning, learning attention success criteria, our impact cycles. This year we are focused on the area of reading. Everybody is focused on the area of reading, whether you're a math teacher, science teacher, social studies teacher, or even elective. And so we're doing that through our impact cycles, doing different strategies. Everybody's doing something that's related to reading to try to boost those academic skills. We're starting with PLC Plus. It's a little bit different version from the PLC we've seen in the past. Our teachers are doing intervention times, our core teachers, so they do, whether they teach science or social studies or reading or math, they're pulling kids and working with kids individually or small groups. In the area of reading, we're continuing with our general education intervention teams, all the things in standards alignment as well. So we're doing a lot of different things, and our focus is really on the growth within our kids down to the individual level. You can see up there the iReady. This is from last year. Average 160 in reading, 160% in reading, and 148 in math. And that's a year and a half worth of growth. And so that's really what we're focused on. No matter where they're coming in at, we're really focused on that growth and getting them ahead of the game there. So, and we're also, one of the things is getting our kids involved with their feedback as well. So each month, sometimes more, some teachers do it more, we have a feedback form, we call it Feedback Fridays, where they're getting specific feedback for that teacher of how they can best help them, what worked well, what didn't, and what they can do moving forward. So all of that encompassed together to give our kids the best experience they can. And I can't give enough credit to the people in that picture. They're working their tails off to do the best for our kids each and every day. And none of this could be, we're getting lots of great results, and none of it could happen without them. And put their best foot forward each and every day. So I want to applaud them for all that they do for our kids. So that is Atchison Middle School in our report. I don't know if anybody has any questions for any of us.
That's a lot. Thank you.
I just want to say that I do enjoy the TikToks that came across my For You page, and I immediately was like, follow, that's great, I love it.
I have one question. Are you going to continue to grow what you're doing?
Yes, and that's why I want the kids this year to, since this is my first year, I want them to help me decide what to do, how to get it better. Absolutely, yes. I have a few exciting trips that I have. They're not, Amazon distribution plant is not taking tours in December, of course, because they're busy. But in January, even though, so in January, we're going to go, just get it focused different. Yeah.
You can see from their faces the pride and their excitement, and that's true anytime I'm in the building. So snaps to the middle school is definitely making us
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's so exciting. Next, our finance update with Lori Leanter.
Evening, everyone. We're going to go back to the bond topic for a brief minute. And you know I'm a numbers person, so here we go. I wanted to show you what we have paid for the bond, and this is through Friday when I talked to Jeanette in the afternoon. More invoices have come in, obviously, and will continue to over the next few months. I just kind of want to give a snapshot of what we paid to which vendor, and that's over the entire course of this bond. So can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. As you can see, the Townborn and DLR are going to be one of your top tiers, you know, who we paid for the majority of the bond. Go on to the next slide. Do you have any questions, obviously? Okay. Might be a good time to talk about where we're at in the bond process, where we go now, how all of it kind of fits together, and what overall is a bond. So I know you've worked on this bond, but it's always good to remember how we got here. We passed this one in February, and it's very similar to your own mortgage, obviously, much more, 27.3 million is what we passed. And this can be used for facility upgrades, safety concerns, technology, we put turf in, that kind of thing. And if you go on to the next slide, sorry. How do you pay it back off once we get all the bond money in and all the projects are done? How do we start paying that back? Well, we get the money two different ways. Through tax from our local taxpayers, through our mill levy, and then we also get state aid. We're one of the few districts that do get state aid on their bonds. So that has helped us tremendously, being able to afford this. If you go to the next slide for me. Thank you. I wanted to put together a history since I came in to show you where all the money came from, and this is cash into the district, into the bond and interest fund. This is not expenses out. And you'll see the local is what we got from our mill levy, from our local taxpayers. Right now, that is at 13.938. In 09-10, it was 15.265. We have done two bonds. This is our second bond since I've been here. And during that time, like I said, we went from 15.265 to 13.938. We're down 1.33 mils. I thought it was a good comparison of, because it fluctuates each year, how much we get for state aid and how much goes to the taxpayer. I thought this was a good representation of how that money comes together each year. I know it's a lot of numbers at you, about $1 million right there, but did you have any questions about how the money's obtained? Okay, now this fund is only for bond and interest. We can only make bond payments out of there. We cannot give it to any other thing. It can only come in. It has its own taxing entity. So if you look on your property tax statement, it will say bond and interest 409. Very specific, whereas the other ones will say general fund or capital outlay or LOB. We have 4 taxing funds.
And this is the fund, Lori, that we promised our taxpayers we would not raise the mill levy at all, and we've stuck to our word.
Correct. When we passed
And
the
we will stick
bond,
to it, yeah.
I believe in 2012, don't quote me on the exact year, that is when we set the precedent that we would not exceed that mill levy, and we have practically or nothing. It's been under, not added since then. I'd be happy to answer any more questions. Great.
And that will be like for people to see on, like if they tune in to, like, you know what I mean, like online or whatever, they can go back and refer to that later.
Yes, and we
Yes.
will post this
This will be
presentation
posted.
so they could pull it.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you ever get really bored, on KSD's website, on our own website, you can go down to the budget. I was just looking at it back on my phone a minute ago to familiarize myself with the numbers. But if you go to code 62, that is the bond and interest fund. And it will show you the last 2 years of payments, what we're scheduled to make this year, what our cash reserves are in that, and what our cash balances were for the past 3 years in there, and what they're projected to be at the end of this year.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Lori, to work, Lori.
Next, I would invite Austin Wilson to the microphone for a transportation report, transportation and staff.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Is it green?
Is it green?
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Wilson, and I'm an organizer with the Teamsters. I'm here to address the members of this board alongside a majority of the bus drivers from the local school district regarding their rights as workers. A few weeks ago, several drivers from the local school district reached out to my union and asked what we could do to help them organize. They brought legitimate concerns about their working conditions, including safety, paid time off, and seniority with regard to the trips that many of them rely on for their income. At our first meeting, an overwhelming majority of the bus drivers came and signed union cards saying that they were ready to have a union election. If these bus drivers were employed by First Student or any other private company, we would have filed the union cards already and they would have had an election. However, they're not covered by the National Labor Relations Act or the NLRA. As you know, the bus drivers here are employed by the school district, and as public employees, their rights with regards to being able to organize is related to the Public Employee Employer Relations Act, or PERA. PERA extends the same rights as the NLRA to employees of the state. If our drivers were employees of the state of Kansas, we would not be here today because we would already have filed for a union election. However, PERA requires that for municipal, county, and school district employees, that the body governing those workers has to voluntarily opt into coverage under that law. Of course, with another piece of legislation, the Professional Negotiations Act, teachers do not have to do that, right? As I'm sure you're aware, teachers have the right to organize themselves into a union, to express their support for a union, and to bargain a contract with the school district to define their terms of working conditions. We're here today to ask you as a body to do the right thing, to ask you to give these bus drivers the same rights that the teachers already have, to give them the right to simply have an election and determine if a majority of them want to come together and to form a union to collectively bargain with the school district and outline what it means to work for the school district. After me, you'll hear from 2 of our bus drivers on the personal impact that the conditions of this job have on them and why they want their right to organize a union. I want you to understand that as they come up here to speak, because of their position as non-PERA covered public employees, they are not protected in their right to do this. They could be fired simply for speaking out in support of a union. Yeah, I called the state labor officer and asked him about that. So as they come up here, I want to commend the bravery for both of them to be here to speak to you today, and for every other bus driver who's here in attendance. And then Heidi Hawk is going to come to speak next.
I want to start by thanking the members of the board for this opportunity to address this body, and to thank the members of our local community who have shown support for our effort, whether they have come today or signed our petition. My name is Heidi Hawk, and I have been driving for USD 409 for more than 5 school years. My coworkers and I are here today to ask the board to opt in to PERA, the law that would give us the right to organize ourselves into a union. I signed my union card so that we, the drivers, through our union, might work with the school district to address the most pressing challenges that we encounter every day, so that we might work collaboratively through the process of collective bargaining to see positive change on assignment of work, student and driver safety, and other working conditions which have contributed to difficulty in recruiting and retaining qualified staff in our transportation department. As I stand here today, the fear that I feel is real. Right now, I do not have the protection that would be given to me if the board had already opted into coverage under this law. I could be fired for simply speaking in support of a union, for doing what I am here to do today. Despite this fear, I am here because the system has not been working right for me, my fellow drivers, and the students. As a bus driver, we are expected to act as a babysitter, a nurse, a psychologist, and to be role models for our students, all while safely transporting, effectively driving a large vehicle. The position is challenging because any mistake made on our part from stress, overload reflects directly on ourselves, our license, as well as our personal insurance. Currently, drivers like myself have been asked to do more with less. We have fewer hours than any school year that I have worked. It is harder and harder to meet the requirement for us to qualify for benefits because the trips which we rely on to make our hours are not being handled with a seniority-based rotation to make sure every driver is getting their fair share of this work. Additionally, despite working full-time for the last 5 school years, I do not currently receive any paid time off, nor do any of the other drivers. If we get sick from a student bringing something on the bus, or in my case, as someone diagnosed with cancer who needed surgeries,
we have to reach into our own pocket to cover any leads that we may need. These issues compound with the rising cost of living and make it hard for us to make ends meet. Despite working an average of 30 hours a week, I am currently behind on bills, and my good credit has turned into poor credit. If not for the kindness of friends and family, I would have faced eviction from the period when I was unable to work due to having my surgeries. Another driver shared with me that despite repeatedly reporting a low tread death on a steer tire on her bus, the department refused to replace it, and when she arrived at the lot to find the tire flat, she was asked to pull it around to get it aired up before taking that bus on her route. I do hope I don't need to explain why a bald steer tire should not be transporting school children on the bus. We have serious issues in the transportation department here at USD 409. I am calling on you to do the right thing, to opt into this law so that we can work together in a collaborative manner and make the school district a better place to work and to learn. Thank you for your time.
Next, you're gonna hear from another one of our drivers, Walter.
Take off my glasses so I can see. But they say I have to drive with them on. To the distinguished board members of USD 409, my faithful colleagues in the transportation department, but most of all to the community at large whom we endeavor to serve, may I say that it is indeed a privilege and coveted blessing to be here with you this evening. Greetings. Can we take just a moment to clear the air? We are not your adversaries. No. We are here to remove barriers that we recognize have stymied goodwill and progress for far too long. We lose goodwill when we fail to honor those we shepherd. By honoring your transportation department is one way that we can recoup that. Charlie says professional bus drivers. We like that. But one, by mandating prompt attention and correction to personal vehicular safety. Two, a clear and concise designation of seniority, which would help to address perceived favoritism in our department. Three, a stable, industry-appropriate wage that does not vacillate between work designations for those who hold professional credentials. Our CDLs have never done this. May I take the liberty of saying that our district has some challenges? Dr. Basson shared with us the budgetary shortfall some time ago, and I'm sure there are others. We have also recognized disconcerting woes in our transportation department as well. There may be others which we know not. Is there anything you'd like to share with us, Dr. Basson, in addition to that?
Is that since we met that first time, I think progress has definitely been made in there. You know, we've got paid time off now, or we did get, yeah, we do. It's on your, you'll see it here in a second, like I shared with you in the follow-up meeting that we had. You did get a raise in that. Do I think you made what you deserve? No. But I say that for every staff member in our district. You've had the addition of bereavement leave that will, you know, like I said, that is the same for every classified staff in there. So, and after we talked about how trips have been cut down so long, Lori and I asked her to not discontinue anyone's benefits, even if they fall under, that we would absorb that difference. You know, and I shared that with you when I came back that second time when I met with you. So.
This is good news, and it's good to hear that. Well, from this vantage point, I can say that our organization of the transportation department for us is the most prevalent and subsequently the most pressing issue at hand. I truly believe that this board desires to and is committed in their hearts to do what is right, to do what is just for 409 employees, all the employees affected thereby. Would you agree with me on that? If the answers were already available, I'm sure that our woes would already have been corrected a long time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an old adage, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but it bears repeating here. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Credit Henry Ford. As I remarked earlier to the board, we are not the adversaries. We are emissaries here to help this board put USD 409 on a different trajectory, whereby we can realize the progress we seek and the favor that we so desperately need from God. My time is short. I have about the time to raise my hand and ask for a bathroom visit. But therefore, I can only hit one aspect of progress, and that would be hiring. Transportation is and has been forever hiring, but we cannot. Why is that? The portrait of our job. Those who inquire weigh both sides of the equation and decide it's just not worth the hassle. Goodwill, let me share this with you. There's a teaching and training at my church that Pastor Tom Stone, who hails from Atchison and went to Benedictine, gives surrounding this. One of the honors one of honoring's tenets is doing more than is expected. Most of us that are parents would love for our kids to learn that. Not simply the minimum. And in so doing, everyone is blessed. The doer for obeying and the recipient for obvious reasons. The blessing sought after has materialized. And secondly, it came in greater measure than was expected. Another tenet in the tenet of critical importance to the board, to any and all of us who are in leadership or positions of authority, that means you folks as parents as well. What is it? The word joy. Learned this a long time ago. Jesus first, others second, you last. Is it not, or is it, I ask, the responsibility and ultimately the obligation of you, the board, to do the very best to put our employees, our district, in the best position available to receive the progress we seek? Over the last few weeks, we have collected over 400 signatures from supporters in our community, both in person and online, on a petition calling on you to do just that. We're here to deliver those signatures tonight. May I, I guess I should ask if you have any questions. Well, may I conclude by saying thank you so very much for granting us an audience. We covered sincerely the opportunity to work alongside you, to work with you moving forward. We're not your adversaries. We are 409.
So I would like to take a minute to thank you.
Yes,
Thank Ms. Heidi.
yes.
I do want to clarify, no transportation employee will be fired for speaking out. Absolutely. I want you to advocate for yourself. You know, I've said that to you since our first meeting. So in case that is a fear in anyone else's mind, no. That will not be occurring. Okay, it's not that we're family and we come together and do the best we can as family. So I just want to clarify that. I didn't want anyone to leave tonight thinking that I didn't value or this board didn't value the transportation department and that someone needed to be in fear of their job, because that is not true. Okay? But they are right, but no, not here.
Right. So I just want to also say thank you so much for the information that you've given us. This is something that we do need to take up in executive session. It is not something probably we will discuss today, but we probably won't have any action on it today. We need to sit and soak and come with what's best for everyone. So I just want to tell you, we will be discussing that, and I appreciate you coming forth with this. I appreciate how we've had listening tours and we heard you and we've made changes already. So I think good faith is happening on both ends. But I just want to say, does anybody else have anything to add?
Can I ask if they have any clarifying questions, who should they contact? Because I mean, I know there will be, and I won't have the answers. Would that be Walter as a
Walter.
point of contact?
With regards to what?
If we have clarifying
If they have
questions.
clarifying questions on PURA law or opting in,
Contact.
okay? So if you'll leave a business
You'll
card or
put it on your
something to
email.
Miss Jeanette,
Yeah.
she'll make sure the whole board gets it. All right, awesome.
Thank you so much. Next is our listening tour summary from Ms. Batson.
From me. I also want to say, I will not be offended because I know some of you have to get up very early in the mornings to safely get our kids here. So if you are planning on sneaking out, you will not offend me, but you are welcome to stay. Yeah, I know how that goes. I still love you, Kelsey.
Love you. It's
All right.
an early route.
I know. And I want you to take care of our kids, and I want your kids to have a good night's sleep. I know. Absolutely. I'm giving everyone an Bye. Now, if anyone wants to move from our back row to our front row, you're welcome to join us. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hannah. All right. So, last spring.
Yeah.
Last spring, when I interviewed for this position, one of the things that I told you that I really worked hard on was creating feedback loops. And one of my first steps that I would do that is through listening tours. And so over this first quarter, I've really been focusing on that. It works with our focus area 2 of high quality staff so they can share their concerns, like some of the ones that were shared tonight first came up in our listening tour, and as well as communication loops that are in there. So the process has been, I met with each department or building separately. If people were not comfortable sharing an open session, so to speak, with their staff, I had a few reach out to me and I had individual meetings. I always ask and started with what's going well. Because obviously we all know we have areas to grow. We all know we have things to work on. But there's also a lot of really great things going on in each of our district buildings as well as each of our departments. I then took the themes that we heard and summarized them and sent a summary document back to each staff and asked them to clarify any misinformation. You as boards got those in real time as well through our Wednesday updates, that you saw those themes as well. And then from there, I took each of those theme documents, uploaded them into Handy Dandy AI, who then gave me about 8 different themes. Of the 8 themes they gave me, 4 were very prevalent. And those are the ones that we're going to share tonight. The first one being this frustration with curricular resources. And it manifested itself in 2 very distinct ways. At the high school, it was really about accessibility and to our curricular resources and any possible processes or practices, policies we have that are limiting that. It was very much a frustration for staff to feel like they could not have kids have access because either they didn't charge their iPad, they haven't paid an iPad fee, or the process of handing out the iPads. At the elementary level, it manifested itself in this implementation cycle that we're doing with iReady. Everything from the amount of teacher voice that was involved in that process, as well as expectations and understanding what was there. And some of our primary teachers really shared that this feeling of kind of overwhelmed by what the curriculum resource asked them to do as center type activities and not having any help preparing those, getting those organized. So in that, and please hear these are recommendations, that's all they are from them. One of the things that I'd like us to consider is at the high school appointing, for lack of a better word, a task force that looks and explores this idea of accessibility to their curricular resources. Having high school teachers involved in that, having a couple of high school parents, having, if the board wants it to be a formal subcommittee of the board, we can have board representation on that. And then, as well as have technology involved in that. Felicia Yoakum will be kind of the facilitator, point of contact for that if we go with that. At the elementary, having opportunities to kind of slow the process down. One of the things I think is very important, we have got great evidence-based resources here. The district has taken the last several years and invested into the science of teaching and providing that level of resources. One of the things I never want us to forget is that has to be balanced with the art of teaching. And that is what each individual educator brings to that science. And that's what makes magic happen. You can't just do the resource, you can't just do the magic, because it has to kind of come together. And so if we can lower that frustration, lower that stress this year with providing some ready to go, here you go, for anyone that wants it, it is not required, opportunities, then we definitely want to do that. So we've already got printed, and these have already been handed out, all the vocabulary task cards for K-8. We had those done at a local printing shop. And then Felicia is working to come up with some math standards that build. So our primary ones that build, and in math it's very easy to do that. You see them in each level that comes. And then through 5th grade this year, and offer make and takes. Once again, it's not required, it's completely voluntary. But when you come, your payment, so to speak, is you will walk out with all the materials, all the organization, all the copies, all the things you need for the center on that. Then she will be working with those teachers to kind of come up with what is a reasonable expectation. Because there's no way anyone can first year implement every part of our program. You'll drive yourself crazy. But in that saying, okay, we are committing to first quarter of next school year, we've played around with it, this whole year, next one we're going to do the vocabulary, we're going to do this part, we're going to do that part. Second quarter, we're going to add in this. So our new staff coming on don't feel as overwhelmed from that. So, and then we're also going to just pause, in which we've shared this before, on any formal adoption process until teachers feel like, okay, I got my feet under me, because I sure don't want to layer something else on their plate. And Felicia and I feel like we've got a handle on exactly what resources we have and what resources we have a hold for. So that's the first thing. Any kind of questions? I guess we'll kind of stop as we go in case. All right. The second theme that came up as a major theme was this idea of student discipline. And please know that is true in every school in America. All right, so Atchison does not own the land rights, so to speak, on this, okay? And as you heard from the middle school, there's been a lot of progress in that as well. But it is a huge, huge component of any educator, and by that means the bus drivers, you know what I said in convocation, that educators, anyone who works with a kid. So from the bus drivers to the child nutrition staff, to the teachers, to the admin, to the paras, all. It is a huge part of their day. So at the elementary schools, when they kind of describe the behavior that they are experiencing from a minority, small percentage, but that small percentage takes up a majority of energy, okay? That it's disruptive, defiant, and many times destructive. At the middle school, when they talked about behavior, it was almost a form of disengagement and apathy in there. where it's felt like they were doing the show and dance, they were doing the magic, and they were fighting them tooth and nail, okay? So at this point, because I know Mr. Bilderback and Ms. Adams have worked really hard and have a focus going on in their engagement work that they're doing in their building anyway. You saw on the slide one of their kind of self-assessments of where engagement is in a classroom. We're going to continue to support as they tell us they need help in that, and really focus this year, because like anyone else's plate, ours is limited too. And we're going to focus this year and first part of next year on elementary. Once again, having that task force, having that teacher voice, having Nicole run point on this. And what we're looking at is not necessarily, we don't need to purchase anything. That is, we're not looking for a curricular resource. What we're looking for is a common understanding, a mindset, a framework of these are major discipline that you are going to have a major discipline reaction to. These are minor discipline that you're going to have start first with an education response. It may turn into a behavior consequence. And decide where is that line and what is appropriate for each age. And we're going to start with elementary on it. Behavior and discipline is very, very personal. It's very personal to each teacher. It's very personal to each parent. It's very personal to each admin. So I say that to say this is not a simple undertaking. In that it sounds simple, but it's not, because you're dealing a lot of emotions as well with this. And part of this, one of the things that I really wanted to point out is that even though we've seen a lot of growth, we still had 276 major incidences in our district entered in October, in 1 month. That's a lot of time away from instruction. That's a lot of time away from learning. That's a lot of time away from a building being able, a leader to be able to lead. That's a lot of time away from everybody. And in that, 37 resulted in in-school suspension, 31 resulted in out-of-school suspension. I will never say that we won't have out-of-school suspension. There are absolutely things students can do to get themselves a really quick out-of-school suspension. All right? I will also say there will be things that don't have what you would consider more artificial or consequence driven on that. And it's that understanding. Because the power of an out-of-school suspension is, what are we changing? Because consequences don't correct behavior. I know that because of overcrowded prisons. All right? If consequences changed by themselves, we wouldn't have overcrowded prisons. It has to be that combination. The same thing we talked about, the art and science of teaching. You have to have an education as well as that consequence part of it. So, overall in our district, physical aggression and fighting. You see that as a uptick. I want you to think about it. You see it on the news. You see it on TikTok. You see it on the reels. You see the silliness. If it happens in our community, if it happens at Walmart, if it happens on TikTok, you're going to see evidence of it in our schools because we are a subset of that. So in that, part of that is education. And part of that saying, like I said, we're not okay with this here. This is not happening. And that means from our bus when they get picked up, through the breakfast line, through lunch, through the instruction, till they get back home at the end of that day. So my recommendation for that is two things. One, to really focus at the elementary, creating that mindset, and then really as well having a district-wide focus on increasing in trauma-informed practices. Because in education, we have a lot of educators, regardless of what their job title is, that are dealing with secondhand trauma very consistently and many days in a row. And being able to recognize that and understand what role it plays in your own practice is vital. So, any questions on that? Second theme. Okay. The third theme that came up, I just kind of categorized as communication concerns. We can also call it customer service. If we want to. This theme was present in every building, every department in one way or the other. And it was staff to staff, it was student to staff, it was community members to staff to community members, staff to board office to staff, all of it, all right? So, and what it shows is we're human, and we have real life human days. And there is not one person in this district that I've met that wouldn't do anything for someone on their team, a kid. There's not anyone in here that's a bad egg, so to speak. But in this, we're all very human. And so, one of the things that we really have to name and understand is, in our profession, we do take on, as I can't remember if it was Heidi or Walter mentioned, we are the nurse. We are their, in many ways, not only their teachers, we are their counselors, we're their confidant, we're their encourager. We are all encompassing in today's education. And that's heavy. And that is hard work. And to do it day in, day in, day in, day in, when sometimes you don't feel like you're getting a break and it's always one more thing or one more crisis or one more trauma, it gets really hard. And in that, the human side of us comes out, and we're not always as kind as adults that we need to be. And so just really putting a focus on the heart and the why we went into education. People don't go into education because they think it's easy. People definitely don't go into education because they think they're going to be in the top tier financially. They go into education because they're called to make a difference in the future. So in that, my recommendation is that we focus on this at an individual level. And one of the things tonight, we started this at our very first admin meeting, are called gratitude moments. And in the gratitude moment, each month, when we pull admin together, when we pull committees together, we ask them to take a moment and think of someone that month that they want to send an encouragement, at a girl, at a guy, any of that in, and write them a quick handwritten card. And then I put a little treat in there for them to say thank you from that. So today you got a gratitude card from our November emphasis that I'm thankful for you, Turkey, on it. And so, and I also included a blank gratitude card for you to write to any staff member that you want to say thank you to. And if you'll drop it off to Jeanette or leave it tonight, I will be happy to put a little treat in it and get it to that person. And so it always makes me smile when I see a teacher who's put theirs on social media, or when I walk into a classroom to pop in and I see them posted on their door, because that's how we change culture, one thank you at a time. Because we do amazing things every day, and sometimes we need to be reminded of that, because the world is going to remind us where we fall short. So we have to remind each other of where we shine, all right? And we do. There's amazing things in every department, every day. Then finally, our last theme that really was prevalent, came up in every department, and once again in every building, is this idea of operational and system concerns. On anything from what is our standard response to where do I go to get, or how do we get this paid? Where do I find my leave? My check's not right. I need to order something, any and all things that kind of come under operations, all right? So from there, an unintended consequence, because I can tell you, as you know, when I came in and we started talking about budget and I became Lori's BFF, whether she wants me to or not, in there, I can tell you the ladies that work on accounts payable and budgeting, it is constant, and they are working their tails to the bone. And it is a thankless job, because no one says, you got 95% of everything right. Good job, that's an A. What they say is that 5% is driving me crazy, right? And rightfully so. But in that, when I look at overall, what's the best recommendation to get us where we need to be, and systems in place, and lifting some load and getting some accuracy up to that 99.9%. One of the recommendations I have is that you consider adding an FTE. I know the optics aren't good. I know financially it's not a good time. Hear me acknowledge that wholeheartedly. But it is still my recommendation, because we've got to get some things moving in the right direction on that. And then, as one thing that I will say I've already been very impressed with is that as staff send emails, as staff ask questions, I have seen quite an uptick in the responses and the understanding and what's happening. So I want to thank the people that are going above and beyond and working crazy hours and taking that extra time to reach out on that. So I would be the point of contact on that. And one of the things I also recommend is that we continue with the education as well as the information part in our board meetings, not only financial, but with as we work through. You know, I've tried to be pretty transparent with the data and as well as our finances. And in that, what I'm looking for is our systems where the art and science told you how to be balanced. Right now, we're not really balanced in this, and we need to bring some balance into our world. So that is the summary of our first quarter, our beginning listening tours. And then I sent this out to staff, and I, of course, sent it out to you as part of our update. Feedback's important to me. I'm going to miss the mark more than I get it right. So being able to say, it's okay, tell me your feedback, and having a structure for that is important. So the second Tuesday of every month, I intentionally did it right after a board meeting so everything's fresh in everyone's mind, is 2 Cent Tuesday. There's no reason to bring actual money. I will not be accepting it. However, you can come in and give me your 2 cents on any and everything. I am going to say what's going well, because I think that's important that we take a moment and say, yeah, there are some things going well. But then I'm also going to say, where are our opportunities? And I'm going to do the same thing that I did for listening tours. I'm going to look for themes. And over time, do those themes change on that? So it's open. This month, I sent it out to staff. Next month, I'm going to send it to, in December, I'm going to also send it to the chamber to send out. We'll post it on our social media so stakeholders will have. But I figured for my first time, I'd just keep it in the family as I do it to see what works and what doesn't work. And kind of go from there. It's a drop in, drop out. Whenever you're ready to leave, you leave. Whenever you want to come, you come. If you don't want to come at all, it's fine. If you want to talk privately, just feel free to email me on that. Because your voice as a staff member, as a community member, is important to me. And I want to hear kind of where we're knocking it out of the park and where we're missing the ball. So that is it for mine. So I'm open to any questions.
Just a thank you for the truly opening the lines of communication and giving everybody an opportunity to share their thoughts, their perceptions, and maybe those perceptions are right, maybe they're not, and you can correct that before it causes a lot more frustration. So thank you very much for your efforts.
So at the 2 cents or any of the other board, we need to make sure no more than 3 are there. So if you're going, why don't you let me know? Or I was going to drop in a little later after I pick up the kids, of course, and do my work. I was going to go for a minute or two, but if there's more, if there's 3, I'll kick one of you out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, I do that. Don't let Diane boom on the phone. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, just let me know if you are now.
And there is no expectation for board members to be there.
Right.
Let me clarify that.
Yeah, I'm planning on going, but I can
No, you're fine.
leave at a moment's notice.
Good. Well, thank you so much. And I will also add, I do believe this is bridging a gap that we sometimes didn't even realize was so wide. And I'm very thankful for this, and especially your listening tour it was very eye-opening when we got them in record, not just the synopsis, but it was very eye-opening. So thank you for your leadership in that. Any other comments or questions on that? Okay.
No, but just take a moment sometime tonight or the next couple of days to do that thankful turkey, because those things are important. People like them.
So there are no public comments, so we are going to move on to I need a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, Sean, and thank you for the second, Sally. Any discussion on that, anyone? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. It does pass unanimously. Next, our action items for tonight are to adopt and revise some policies, and Ms. Honeywell's coming forth. Thank you for all your hard work and the policy committee on this. You guys, I know it's a lot.
So we just have there's 3 slides there that summarize these policy changes. They pretty much came straight from KASB. Most of them are related to legislative changes or otherwise. So I didn't receive any questions about those, and we talked about it at length last time. I'd be happy to go into detail about any of them if you like, but again, didn't have any questions about those.
Yeah, we've all had plenty of time to take a look, and you were thorough last month as well, so any questions, anybody? I'd entertain a motion for that, please. I have a motion to revise and adopt the policies as presented. May I have a second? Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Next is to appoint our KSB Delegate Assembly Representative.
Yes, I believe Sally was scheduled, but because her feature's so bright, she's wearing shades today. She will not be joining us, so we will need an alternate that will be going. So,
And I'm happy to, if you guys want to do it, you can. It's a 15-minute ordeal. It's not that big a deal, but I'm happy to do it if nobody else wants to do it, so, okay. That was easy. Thanks. Yeah, can you make a motion for that?
I move that Carrie Sowers is the new KASB is that
Delegate Assembly.
representative.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much.
Also, just so you know, I got an email today.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. All right, guys. Next, items for discussion and consideration. Again, Ms. Honeywell is on her way up.
So these are a little more exciting, I think. It is a first read, but you know, our history in this district has been to delay classified raises until after the teacher negotiations process happens. So what we are proposing to add to the classified handbook would be an addendum. So the first item is updated pay rates. And so this is a wage scale that was adopted a couple of years ago. It is on page 48 of the current 25-26 classified handbook. And this just shows all of the different positions and where they would fall. So these classified staff members did get an increase of 25 cents. So across the board, that was about a 2.5% raise, which was comparable to what teachers were given. So that would be the first thing for first read.
and by the time for returning employees, it was more like a 40-cent raise because you get your
Plus
staff
your
as
staff.
well.
Yeah. So that would be the first piece. And then the second piece, this also tied right into the listening tours that were happening. So we were adding bereavement leave if in the event that a spouse or child passes away, 3 days of that, and that is comparable to what teachers added into the negotiated agreement. The second piece would be paid time off for part-time employees, and then including anybody in transportation. And then these proposed language changes are on page 21 and 22 of the classified handbook, but I made you a little key, so I'm going to show you all of the language that we're proposing to change in this addendum, but the star is really where the change in content happens. So I don't know what slide you're on, but yep, where that little star is around sick leave. So it says the amount of leave earned each month is equivalent to the employee's typical work day. So for example, a 4-hour per day employee would earn 4 hours of sick leave for each full month of employment. So in the past, we didn't have language in there that addressed part-time employees. And so that's where a lot of our transportation department didn't have that paid time off. And then on.
But they do now, so.
Yes, but they do now, and that's already been reflected.
Mm-hmm.
This is just adding it to the handbook so that the language matches. And then again on slide. Well, I don't know if I'm on the same slide as you, but it's 65 for me. It's the next time you see a star where it leaves for a funeral. So we mirrored the language in the negotiated agreement. A classified employee may use up to 3 days per academic calendar, not charged to the employee's leave on the occasion of the death of spouse or child of the classified employee. So that's 3 days of bereavement leave. So the paid time off, the bereavement leave, and then that wage scale are what we're proposing to add as an addendum. And then here in a few months, we'll be looking at handbooks for the following year. But just wanted to reiterate that these changes are coming as an addendum because we do wait until after teacher negotiations to update that. And then the listening tour was incorporated in the decision.
So any questions for Nicole? Okay, so this was emailed to you. You will take a formal vote on it as an action item next month. So if you have any questions, please let us know.
We'll take a good look at those. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work again. Next is our executive session, and Diane, I'm going to let you read that motion. And I believe maybe let's start off with 30 minutes. Oh. Here. Somebody have that.
Do you want me to read it? I got it.
Sure.
Okay.
Madam President, I move that the board recess to an executive session to discuss the following subjects: employment recommendations and resignations. The justification for this executive session is to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under KOMA. The open meeting will resume in the Board of Education Community Room at
30 minutes.
at 7:45.
7:45. Sounds great.
And we would like to invite them to join us, please.
May I have a second, please? Are you on? Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. We'll be back in. And we're back in session. I'm trying to think, what do we address first? Okay, let's do the staff report first.
I move that we accept the 25-26 employment recommendations, the transfers, there are 2 of those, and 2 supplementals for 25-26, as presented in our receipts.
May I have a second? Thank you so much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Next is to approve for the, oh, my computer just went dead. Yeah, it's not dead, it just went out. Approve the Director of Operations, FTE. I would entertain a motion for that, please.
I move that we begin the search for Director of Operations, FTE. Approve that position as a new position, Director of Operations, FTE.
I'll second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you so much. It does pass unanimously. Next, I wanted to let the bus drivers know that we had great conversation in the back, and what we've decided is we're going to create a subcommittee and reach out to Heidi and Walter and see if there's some consensus. I can't talk. Consensus. Good grief. It's my southern coming out. Yeah, what you said. To work together with the bus drivers, and we'll go from there. Now, what we need to know is who wants to be on that subcommittee.
I'm happy to serve on it. The rest of November and December, unless we want somebody that will carry on.
Okay, I think it can be settled.
Is that something we could table, or does it need to be right now?
I think we want to.
I would like the input of our new people coming on, and possibly if they want to just serve that option also.
Yeah,
No hurry.
we can table it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can table it until, yeah.
That's fine too.
Okay, perfect. So, do we need a,
Can I ask who's gonna reach out to Walter and or Heidi, just because I do want them to know that they were heard tonight and not in limbo. And just to say, here's where we are, it's gonna be paused for a moment, but we would like to create a formal committee where we explore these concerns.
thank you.
Through email.
Yeah. That's fine. Thank you, Brandy. Yeah. Yeah. So we probably need a motion to table that then, don't we? Or no, we don't need
It's not an
anything.
action.
We wouldn't be an action. Right. Okay. All right. So any other discussion? Seeing none, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I so move.
Second. Thank you so much. Great board meeting. Thank you, everyone. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. And we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.